The Awakening. The golden lamp floated in the wreckage of an ancient space battle. It drifted among shattered metal, broken starships, and the silent remains of a war long forgotten. The lamp, unlike the ruins around it, was untouched, gleaming as if it had just been forged. Captain Ray Carter watched it from the cockpit of his small spaceship, the Horizon. His scanners picked up strange readings from the object. "What the hell is that?" he muttered. His curiosity burned brighter than caution. He reached out, activating his ship's robotic arm, and pulled the lamp into the cargo hold. Ray was an explorer, a scavenger, and sometimes a troublemaker. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy, but this lamp, it felt different. Inside the cargo bay, he removed his helmet and walked toward the object. Up close, it was beautiful, covered in ancient symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. His fingers traced the surface. It was warm, alive. Then, without warning, the lamp trembled. A soft hum filled the room. The golden surface cracked slightly, and blue mist poured out, swirling and twisting in the air. The mist thickened, taking shape. And then, she appeared. A woman stood before him, tall, glowing, and impossibly beautiful. Her skin shimmered like liquid stardust. Her long hair floated as if caught in an unseen breeze. Her deep blue eyes locked onto Ray's. She smiled, her voice smooth and melodic. "You have awakened me." Ray took a step back, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm. "Who? What are you?" She tilted her head. "I am Zyra, a cosmic entity. A Genie, if you prefer." Ray frowned. "A genie, like from the old Earth legends." Zyra stretched her arms, sighing as if waking from a long sleep. "You hold the lamp. That means you are my master. I grant you 3 wishes." Ray's heart pounded. This couldn't be real. It had to be some kind of advanced alien technology, maybe an AI trick, but something about her, her presence, her voice, felt too real to be fake. 3 wishes, he repeated. "Anything I want." Zyra nodded. "Almost anything. There are limits. I cannot bring back the dead. I cannot force someone to love you. And I cannot grant you unlimited wishes." Ray smirked. "Yeah, that last one would be too easy." Zyra crossed her arms. "Make your first wish, human." Ray hesitated. His mind raced. He could wish for riches, for power, for an unbreakable starship. He could become the most feared man in the galaxy. But as he looked at Zyra, something strange hit him. Sadness. It was in her eyes, hidden behind her confident stance. She wasn't free. "Before I wish for anything," he said, "tell me something. How long have you been trapped?" Zyra blinked, as if she hadn't expected the question. She hesitated before answering. "I do not know. Centuries, perhaps longer. Time is different for me." Ray frowned. "And every time someone finds the lamp, you have to serve them." "Yes," she said simply. "That's messed up." She arched an eyebrow. "It is my purpose." Ray was silent. He had always believed humans were different from other species in the galaxy. Other races sought power, control, dominance. But humans had compassion. Maybe this was why he had found the lamp. Maybe he was different. He took a deep breath. "All right, I've made my first wish." Zyra straightened. "Speak it, and it shall be done." Ray held her gaze. "I wish for your freedom." For the first time, Zyra's expression shattered. Her glowing form flickered. She took a step back. "What?" "You heard me," Ray said. "I wish for you to be free." The room fell silent. The air crackled with energy. The lamp in Ray's hands trembled violently. A deep hum filled the ship, growing louder. Zyra clutched her head. "No, no one has ever wished for this." The ship's lights flickered. The AI's voice suddenly blared through the speakers. "Voar Neng. Unknown energy. Surgi DTKT." Zyra gasped as golden chains, ones only she could see, began breaking apart. Ray took a step toward her. "Are you okay?" Zira's hands shook. Her whole body pulsed with unstable energy. The wish was breaking something. Something ancient. Something dangerous. Then a voice, not hers, not Ray's, echoed through the ship. "Error. Wish dnig. Interference dtt." The ship lurched violently, throwing Ray to the ground. The stars outside the windows flashed red. Then, the alarm. A deep, rumbling voice, powerful and full of anger, echoed through the ship. "Surrender the Genie, or be destroyed." Ray's heart pounded as he pulled himself up. Outside, massive alien warships had appeared, surrounding them. Zira looked at him, eyes filled with shock and something new, fear. Ray clenched his fists. He had thought he was helping her. Instead, he had just made them the most wanted fugitives in the galaxy. The cost of freedom. The ship trembled violently as alarms blared through the cockpit. Red lights flashed, casting eerie shadows over Ray's face as he stumbled to his feet. Outside the viewport, 5 enormous warships loomed in the dark expanse of space, their angular hulls glowing with pulsating crimson energy. "Zira," Ray gasped, eyes darting between her and the alien fleet. "Who the hell are these guys?" Zira's form flickered, her once serene, glowing skin now pulsed with chaotic energy, as if she were struggling to contain something inside her. "The Star Lords," she whispered, her voice laced with fear. "The ones who forged the lamp, the ones who trapped me." Ray narrowed his eyes. "And now, they want you back." The ship's AI voice cut through the tension. "Incoming transmission. Priority level. Hostile." A holographic projection materialized in front of them. A towering alien figure appeared, a Star Lord commander. Its body was encased in dark, metallic armor that pulsed with otherworldly energy, its face obscured by a crystalline helmet. Only its piercing violet eyes could be seen through the haze of power. Human. The alien's voice was deep, rumbling, and utterly devoid of emotion. "You have committed a grave crime. Surrender the entity." Ray crossed his arms. "Her name is Zira." The Star Lord did not react. "The entity is forbidden to be free. The universe itself rejects this anomaly. You have one chance. Surrender her, and you may live." Ray glanced at Zira. Her expression was unreadable. She was staring at the Star Lord with an intensity he couldn't quite place. Anger, fear, or something deeper. He turned back to the projection and smirked. "Yeah, see, I don't really take orders from space tyrants." The Star Lord tilted his head. "Then you choose death." The transmission cut out. The warships moved in unison, their massive cannons charging with energy. Ray rushed to the cockpit, gripping the controls. "Zira, tell me you have some kind of magical escape plan." She blinked, as if snapping out of a trance. "I don't know. I've never been outside the lamp before." Ray cursed under his breath. Figures. Boom. A massive plasma blast slammed into the shields. The ship groaned in protest, power levels dropping rapidly. "Hold on." Ray yanked the controls, forcing the horizon into a spiraling dive. The engines roared as the ship narrowly dodged another energy barrage. He pulled them into a sharp turn, heading for the nearest asteroid belt. "Are you insane?" Zira shouted, gripping the walls to steady herself. Ray grinned. "Maybe." The warships gave chase, their sleek, predatory forms weaving through the asteroids. Explosions erupted as their weapons fired wildly, shattering space rocks into clouds of debris. Ray pushed the thrusters to their limit. "We can't outrun them forever," he muttered. Zira suddenly grabbed his arm. "Ray, I think I can help." He glanced at her. "How?" She looked down at her hands, which glowed with swirling energy. "I don't know exactly, but I feel it. The power inside me, it's changing, growing. I think I can do something." Ray hesitated. She didn't sound confident. But then again, what choice did they have? Do it. Zira took a deep breath and stepped toward the center of the ship. She closed her eyes, and suddenly, everything stopped. The ship, the asteroids, the enemy warships, frozen in place. Ray's mouth fell open. What the hell? Zira opened her eyes. They were glowing white-hot. "I bent time," she whispered, but only for a few seconds. She looked at Ray. "Tell me where to take us." Ray didn't hesitate. "Take us to Haven 7. Zira nodded. She raised her hands, and in an instant, reality twisted. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from her body, and suddenly, they were gone. Haven 7, the refuge of outlaws. A rust-colored planet appeared outside the viewport. Haven 7 was a rogue world, a lawless place where criminals, smugglers, and bounty hunters gathered to avoid the eyes of the Galactic Council. Ray exhaled, gripping the controls. "Dan, you really did it." Zira swayed, her body flickering like a glitching hologram. I don't feel right." Ray caught her before she collapsed. "Hey, Zira." Her eyes fluttered open. "I used too much power," she whispered. Ray carried her to the med bay, setting her down. "Rest," he said. "I'll find us a safe place to lay low." As he left, he didn't notice that Zira's hands were still glowing faintly, and in the shadows of Haven 7, something was watching them. The Star-Lord's Wrath. Haven 7, a place without laws. The rusty skies of Haven 7 were filled with the glow of neon lights, flickering advertisements in a dozen alien languages, and the steady hum of starships arriving and departing. This world was a haven for those who had nowhere else to go. Mercenaries, smugglers, exiled warriors, and criminals of every species. Ray Carter had been here before. He knew the rules. Trust no one, show no weakness, and always keep your blaster close. Inside the ship, Zira lay motionless in the med bay. Her glowing form flickered, her power unstable. Granting herself freedom had changed her. She was no longer just a wish granter. She was something else now, but even she didn't know what. Ray placed a damp cloth on her forehead. "You saved our asses back there," he muttered. "Just rest." He needed supplies, fuel, and most importantly, information. The Star-Lords wouldn't stop hunting them. If he wanted to survive, he needed to know what they were up against. As he stepped outside, the air smelled of burning metal, spilled fuel, and alien spices. 100 different species filled the streets, each more dangerous than the last. Ray pulled his hood over his head and moved through the crowd. He was looking for someone. An old friend. The informant. A small, run-down bar sat in the corner of Haven's lower district. Inside, the air was thick with smoke, and the sound of alien voices whispering deals filled the space. At a corner table sat Jex Taro, a reptilian alien with deep green scales and cybernetic implants along his arms. He was a former Galactic intelligence officer, now a black market information dealer. Ray slid into the seat across from him. Jex's reptilian eyes studied him. "Carter," he hissed, taking a sip from his glass. "Haven't seen you in a while. What trouble have you dragged in this time?" Ray smirked. "The usual. Ancient artifacts, mysterious aliens, pissed off galactic overlords. You know, normal stuff." Jex chuckled. "I heard the Star-Lords are after someone. Didn't think it'd be you." Ray leaned in. "Tell me what you know." Jex sighed. "The Star-Lords don't usually interfere in the affairs of mortals. But you freed something they swore would never be free. Zira isn't just a genie. She's a weapon." Ray's fists tightened. "A weapon?" Jex nodded. "She was created eons ago, during the War of the Celestials. The Star-Lords feared her power, so they locked her away in that lamp. She wasn't just meant to grant wishes. She was built to unmake reality itself." Ray exhaled slowly. "And now that she's free." Jex's expression darkened. "Now They'll do anything to erase her existence. Ray cursed under his breath. So what do I do? Jex took another sip of his drink. You have two choices. Run until they find you, or fight. Ray leaned back in his seat. He wasn't the kind of guy who ran. Before he could respond, a sudden explosion rocked the street outside. The bar's walls shook, glasses shattered, and people screamed. Jex's eyes widened. Looks like they found you first. The Star-Lord's attack. Ray rushed outside, blaster drawn. Above the city, 3 black warships descended, their energy cannons glowing ominously. Star-Lord enforcers, tall, armored beings with glowing purple visors, dropped from the sky like specters of death. The streets erupted into chaos. People scattered, vendors abandoned their stalls, and bounty hunters either fled or took cover. Ray ducked behind a cargo crate, heart pounding. From above, a deep voice echoed through the city. Human. Surrender, he entitled. Ray gritted his teeth. Yeah, that's not happening. One of the enforcers raised a glowing spear and hurled it at him. Ray rolled to the side, the spear piercing through metal where he had been seconds ago. He fired his blaster, direct hit to the enforcer's chest. The energy shot, however, barely left a scratch. Oh, come on, Ray muttered. A second enforcer lunged at him. Before Ray could react, a pulse of blue energy sent the alien flying backward. Ray turned to see Zira, standing weakly but alive. Her eyes burned with raw power. You should be resting, Ray said. Zira smirked, raising her hand. I'll rest when we're not being murdered. She thrust her palm forward, and a shockwave of energy blasted through the street, sending 3 enforcers crashing through buildings. Ray whistled. Okay, that's new. Zira staggered, the power drain obvious. I can't hold it for long. Ray grabbed her arm, pulling her toward a narrow alley. Then we need to move. Fast. The last option. They ran through the streets, dodging falling debris and avoiding enemy fire. The entire city was under siege because of them. We need a ship, Ray panted. Zira's expression hardened. We need more than that. Ray looked at her. What are you thinking? Zira hesitated, then said, I need to unlock my full power. Ray frowned. Zira, you saw what happened last time. You nearly collapsed. She stopped and turned to him, eyes burning with determination. You freed me, Ray. But I'm still incomplete. My full strength is locked away, buried deep, and I think I know where to find it. Ray hesitated. Where? Zira's voice dropped to a whisper. The core of the Celestials. The place where I was created. Ray felt a chill. That was a place of legends and nightmares. Before he could respond, a massive shadow loomed over them. They turned just in time to see the Star-Lord Commander himself descending from the sky. He landed with a thunderous crash, his black armor gleaming under Haven 7's neon glow. He pointed a long, crackling blade at Zira. Your freedom is an abomination, he growled. And I will end it. Ray stepped in front of Zira, gripping his blaster. Zira's eyes flashed with defiance. This fight was far from over. The chase begins. The shadow of the Star-Lord. The Star-Lord Commander stood tall, his dark armor absorbing the neon glow of Haven 7's chaotic streets. His crimson energy blade hummed as he raised it, its edges crackling with raw power. Around him, a dozen elite enforcers formed a deadly perimeter, sealing every possible escape route. Ray Carter tightened his grip on his blaster. He had faced bounty hunters, mercenaries, and even warlords before. But this was different. The Star-Lords weren't just any enemies. They were legends, myths, and they wanted Zira erased. Zira stepped beside him, her ethereal glow flickering unsteadily. She was still recovering from her last power surge, but her eyes blazed with defiance. The commander's voice rumbled, deep and ancient. You have defied the will of the Celestials, human. Surrender the entity now, and I will grant you a swift death. Ray smirked. You know, I'm getting real tired of space tyrants giving me ultimatums." The commander's grip tightened on his blade. "So be it." He lunged forward, faster than anything Ray had ever seen. Ray barely had time to dodge as the Star-Lord's blade sliced through the air, leaving a burning arc where his head had been a second ago. Zara reacted on instinct. She raised her hands, and a force wave erupted from her palms, sending the enforcers flying backward. But the commander, he barely flinched. Zara's eyes widened. "That's impossible." The commander rushed forward again, his sword aimed straight for Zara's heart. Ray acted fast. He grabbed Zara and yanked her sideways just in time. The blade sliced through a metal support beam instead, causing the structure above to creak and groan. Ray fired 3 rapid shots at the commander's head. Direct hits. They did nothing. The commander turned his gaze to Ray, unimpressed. Ray gulped. "Well, that's just rude." Before the Star-Lord could strike again, a deafening explosion rocked the street. A ship, a massive black and gold freighter, descended fast, its turrets opening fire on the enforcers. The streets erupted into chaos. A voice boomed through the comms. "Carter, you really know how to get into trouble, huh?" Ray recognized that voice. Captain Voss, his old smuggling partner. The freighter's landing ramp lowered mid-flight, and Voss waved from inside. "Are you two coming or what?" Ray grabbed Zura's hand. "Time to go." They sprinted toward the ship as the Star-Lord raised his hand, summoning an energy vortex to pull them back. Zura, barely standing, threw her own energy forward, countering his power for just long enough for them to leap onto the ramp. The freighter took off at full speed, dodging the warships as they ascended into the sky. Below them, the commander watched silently, his blade still humming. Then he turned to his enforcers. "Send the hunters. I want them found." The hunters pursued. Inside Voss's ship, the Iron Fang, Ray and Zurich collapsed onto the metal floor, gasping for breath. Voss, a towering, scarred human with cybernetic arms, leaned against a crate, arms crossed. "What the hell did you two do?" Ray sat up. "Long story short, I freed a cosmic entity. Now the Star-Lords want us dead." Voss whistled. "Carter, you really outdid yourself this time." Zira struggled to her feet. "We need to reach the core of the Celestials. It's the only place I can unlock my true power." Voss raised an eyebrow. "The core? That place is suicide." Ray looked at Zira. "You sure about this?" She nodded. "I can feel it calling to me. If we don't go there, I'll never be strong enough to stop them." Voss sighed. "Well, I was planning on running spice runs through the outer rings, but hey, a suicidal mission sounds fun." Before Ray could thank him, a warning alarm blared through the ship. "In Kyo main hostiles." Zara paled. "They found us already." Ray checked the scanners. Not just any ships. The hunters. Voss cursed. "Dan. The Star-Lords sent their elite assassins after us." Outside, 6 sleek, black fighter ships with serpentine designs emerged from hyperspace. They didn't waste time. The hunters opened fire, unleashing plasma rounds that shook the Iron Fang violently. Voss grabbed the controls. "Hold on." He spun the ship into a sharp dive, weaving through the asteroid field nearby. The hunters followed with inhuman precision, their ships twisting and turning in impossible angles. Ray turned to Zura. "Can you stop them?" She closed her eyes, focusing. "I can try." She extended her hands, but instead of a massive energy blast, only sparks flickered. Her face twisted in frustration. "I'm still too weak." Ray grabbed a turret control and opened fire, hitting one of the hunter ships. It exploded in a fiery blast, but the rest kept coming. Voss gritted his teeth. "We can't keep this up. I'm making a jump to the rift sector." Ray's eyes widened. "The rift? That's our only chance," Voss finished. He yanked the controls. The Iron Fang shot forward at full speed, heading straight toward the dangerous, unstable rift nebula. Behind them, the hunters hesitated. Even they knew the dangers of the rift. Then the leader of the hunters, a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes, spoke through their comms. "Continue pursuit. They cannot escape fate." As the Iron Fang plunged into the rift's swirling violet storm, Ray had a sinking feeling. They had escaped, for now. But the real battle was only just beginning. The final wish, into the rift. The Iron Fang hurtled through the swirling violet storm of the Rift Nebula, its hull shaking under the gravitational anomalies that twisted space around them. The rift was a graveyard of lost ships, a maze of shifting cosmic storms and broken planets where time itself was said to be unstable. Few who entered ever came out. Ray Carter gripped the edge of his seat, sweat forming on his brow as alarms blared through the cockpit. "Voss, tell me you know what you're doing," he shouted over the noise. Voss, struggling to keep control of the ship, barked back, "I absolutely do not." "Hold on to something." A massive energy surge erupted around them. Space bent and twisted, pulling the ship in unpredictable directions. The Iron Fang lurched sideways, nearly flipping over before stabilizing. In the med bay, Zyra lay unconscious, her body glowing faintly as unstable energy pulsed through her. She was changing. Ray rushed to her side, shaking her lightly. "Zyra, wake up. We're in serious trouble here." Her eyes fluttered open, filled with a light that wasn't quite human. She exhaled sharply. "Where are we?" "The rift," Ray said. "You said we needed to come here, remember? Something about unlocking your full power." Zyra sat up slowly, her fingers curling into a fist. She could feel it. The core of the Celestials was close. But before she could speak, the ship shook violently. Ray spun around just as Voss shouted through the comms. "They followed us. The hunters are here." The hunters strike. The 6 black fighter ships emerged from the violet mist like wraiths, their sleek hulls shimmering with cloaking technology. Their leader, the shadowy figure with glowing red eyes, hovered in front of the Iron Fang in a jet-black warship, twice the size of the rest. A transmission crackled through the speakers. "You were fools to run." Ray recognized that voice. Cold, mechanical. The Executioner, one of the Star-Lord's deadliest enforcers, a being rumored to be part machine, part nightmare. Ray clenched his fists. "Executioner, never thought I'd be lucky enough to run into you." A cruel chuckle echoed through the comms. "Surrender the entity, and I'll make your death painless." Zyra, now standing beside Ray, stepped forward, her body glowing brighter. "I'm not going back," she said firmly. The Executioner's voice hardened. "Then you will be erased." The hunters attacked. The Iron Fang twisted and turned, dodging the incoming barrage of plasma fire. Voss fired the ship's rear turrets, hitting one of the hunters and sending it spiraling into the rift's storm, where it was instantly crushed by a gravity wave. But the others kept coming. Ray grabbed the gunner controls and fired back, managing to destroy another, but the Executioner's warship was untouched. Then, a red light flared across the ship's hull. "They hit our engines." Voss roared. "We're going down." Crash landing. The Iron Fang spiraled through the rift, its hull burning as it plummeted toward the surface of a cracked ancient planet. Zyra reached forward, her eyes glowing white. She extended her hands, and with a burst of raw energy, she slowed the ship's descent, guiding it through the ruins of what looked like an ancient celestial temple. With a final boom, the Iron Fang crashed into the rocky surface, skidding to a stop just before it could plunge into a deep abyss. Silence. Smoke rose from the wreckage. Sparks flickered inside the cockpit. Ray groaned, pushing himself up. "Is it bad?" Voss, checking the controls, muttered, "Let's just say we're not flying out of here anytime soon." Zyra stepped out of the ship, her entire body pulsing with light. She knew this place. "The core is here," she whispered. Ray followed her gaze to the massive temple ruins in the distance, its ancient symbols glowing faintly under the stormy sky. But before they could move, a loud crash behind them. They turned to see the executioner's warship landing nearby. Ray sighed. They really don't give up, do they? The executioner stepped onto the battlefield, his red eyes glowing like twin stars. His hunters surrounded him, weapons drawn. It ends here. Ray gritted his teeth, raising his blaster. Yeah, it does. The final wish. The air crackled with tension. The executioner and his hunters moved in, weapons charging with lethal energy. Ray fired first. A rapid burst of shots aimed at the executioner's chest, but they passed right through him like he wasn't even there. The executioner phased forward, appearing right in front of Ray. Too fast, too powerful. He grabbed Ray by the throat and lifted him into the air. Ray gasped, struggling as his vision blurred. He could feel the life being drained out of him. Zara screamed. No. In that moment, something inside her snapped. Her body exploded with golden light, knocking every hunter backward. The executioner stumbled, momentarily releasing Ray. Zara ran to him, placing her hands on his chest. Her power surged through him, healing his wounds instantly. Ray inhaled sharply. What did you? She looked at him, her eyes filled with something new, something powerful. Realization. I know what I have to do, she whispered. She turned back to the executioner, who was already charging toward her. Zira raised her hands, and the entire planet shook. The temple lit up, its ancient power reactivating after eons. The executioner stopped in his tracks. For the first time, he hesitated. Zara turned to Ray. Your last wish. Make it now. Ray's heart pounded. What? Zira smiled softly. I can't do it alone. You freed me. Now, set me free completely. Ray looked into her glowing white eyes. He knew what she meant. If he wished for her full power, she would become something else, something beyond even the Star Lords. He took a deep breath and made his final wish. I wish for you to become who you were always meant to be. Zira's body lit up like a supernova. She turned toward the executioner and the hunters. Her voice echoed across the rift. I am no one's price oneer. A final blast of divine energy erupted from her form, and everything turned white. The reckoning. The birth of a new power. A blinding wave of golden light erupted from Zira, consuming everything. The energy was not just powerful, it was primal, ancient, and limitless. The executioner staggered backward, shielding his face as his hunters were disintegrated instantly, their bodies reduced to cosmic dust. Ray Carter felt the universe tremble around him as Zira's transformation reached its peak. The air vibrated, the temple walls cracked, and the sky above split open, revealing something beyond reality itself. Voss, still recovering from the crash, barely managed to stay on his feet. What the hell is she becoming? Ray didn't answer. He was too busy watching a god awaken. Zira floated above the ground, her body now surrounded by radiant energy, neither solid nor ethereal. Her eyes were twin suns, her hair a flowing stream of cosmic energy. She was no longer a genie. She was something more. The last chain of her existence had been broken. And now she had no limits. The executioner's last stand. The executioner, one of the greatest warriors of the Star Lords, had never known fear. Until now. His red eyes dimmed for the first time as he took a step back. His hand trembled on the hilt of his energy blade. You should not exist, he hissed. Zira tilted her head. When she spoke, her voice echoed across time and space itself. And yet I do. The executioner lunged at her, faster than light itself. But Zira simply raised a finger. The moment his blade touched her, it shattered. The executioner froze in shock. Before he could react, Zira flicked her wrist, and the air around him rippled like water. Then suddenly, he was gone. No explosion, no scream, just Gone. Erased from existence. Ray exhaled slowly. Holy shit. The return of the Star Lords. Before anyone could speak, the sky above them twisted. A massive tear in reality opened, and from within, something emerged. A colossal Star Lord dreadnought, larger than an entire city, hovered above the ruined temple. Then another. And another. An entire fleet had arrived. Voss groaned. You've got to be kidding me. The Star Lords had come in force. A deep, ancient voice echoed from the lidship. Zyra of the Lamp, you defy the laws of existence. You will surrender now. Zyra turned her gaze to the fleet. Her golden eyes burned brighter, and her power swelled. Ray could feel it, the universe itself bending to her will. Zyra lifted her hand, and with a mere thought, the lead dreadnought split in half. The Star Lords hesitated. Even they had never seen such power. One of the commanders, a being of pure cosmic energy, stepped forward on a floating platform. You do not understand what you have done. You are a force that must not exist. Zyra stared at them for a long moment. Then she simply said, I am not yours to control. With that, she raised both hands, and the entire fleet trembled. The fate of the Star Lords. Ray had always known the Star Lords were the most powerful beings in the galaxy. They had ruled for eons, their technology and strength unmatched. But now, he was watching one woman rewrite the laws of the cosmos. The fleet tried to escape. They fired their weapons. They activated their shields. But none of it mattered. With a wave of her hand, Zyra sealed them in place, trapping them in an unbreakable pocket of reality. The commander screamed in protest. You cannot do this. This is forbidden. Zyra smiled. Then consider me the first rule breaker. The Star Lords, the mightiest empire in existence, vanished. Ray blinked. Well, that happened. Voss let out a shaky breath. Are we sure she's still on our side? Ray glanced at Zyra. She hovered in the air, her form flickering between light and shadow. She was still changing. The choice. Zyra slowly descended, her glow dimming slightly as she landed before Ray. Her expression was unreadable. It's over. Ray swallowed. Yeah, it is. But as he looked at her, he saw something else. Sadness. What's wrong? He asked. Zyra looked at her hands. They weren't solid anymore. I am not the same. Ray frowned. You're free now. She nodded. But free to do what? She lifted her gaze to the sky. I have become something new, something boundless. I am not just Zyra. I am a force, a being of creation and destruction. Ray felt his stomach drop. Wait, you're not leaving, are you? Zyra hesitated. I don't belong in this universe anymore. Ray felt a sharp pain in his chest. He had fought for her, risked everything for her, and now she was leaving. Zyra stepped closer, her golden eyes softening. Thank you, Ray, for everything. He clenched his jaw. So that's it. She smiled, and for the first time, there was peace in her expression. Not forever. And then, she vanished into the stars. Aftermath. The ruins of the celestial temple were silent. Voss exhaled. Well, that was something. Ray stared at the empty space where Zyra had been. Then he smirked. Yeah, but you know what? Something tells me she'll be back. Voss chuckled. You really think she'll return? Ray gazed at the endless stars above. She's too stubborn not to. And with that, they boarded the Iron Fang, leaving behind the ruins, the rift, and the legend of the woman who had defied the gods. But somewhere, across the vast cosmos, the golden light flickered, watching, waiting. Because this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The wish that changed everything. 1 month later, the edge of known space. The Iron Fang drifted through the silence of deep space, far beyond the galactic core. Ray Carter leaned back in the pilot's seat, staring at the endless black void. A month had passed since Zura vanished. A month since he watched her transcend beyond anything the universe had ever known. And yet, he still felt her presence. Voss sat across from him, tossing a metallic data chip between his fingers. "So," he said, watching Ray carefully. "What now?" Ray exhaled. "I don't know." He had spent his whole life chasing after things. Treasure, adventure, lost relics. But now, for the first time, he felt lost himself. Voss smirked. "You miss her?" Ray scoffed. "No, yeah, maybe." Voss chuckled. "You freed the most powerful being in the galaxy, Carter. You really thought she'd just hang around forever?" Ray shook his head. That wasn't it. Zira had changed. She had become something more than a Genie, more than a prisoner. But he still believed she was out there somewhere. Watching. Waiting. The storm on Sci-Fi 9. The silence didn't last. A sudden emergency transmission blared through the ship's console. "Incoming Diasturi SS SI Genenil. HFY 9. URGNTREQUEST for ASSI stance." Ray's eyes narrowed. He punched a few controls, bringing up the details. Pirate attacks. Civilians stranded. No reinforcements available. He hesitated. Normally, he avoided this kind of thing. He wasn't a hero. He was a scavenger, an explorer. But something about this felt different. Voss leaned over. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" Ray nodded. "Yeah. Let's go." The Iron Fang turned sharply and engaged its hyperdrive, disappearing into the void. The ruins of war. When they arrived, Sci-Fi 9 was burning. The once thriving colony had been ravaged by raiders. Fires raged across the settlements, and the skies were filled with black smoke and streaks of laser fire. Ray gritted his teeth. He had seen this before. Lawless regions like this, they were left to fend for themselves. The Galactic Council didn't care. Voss scanned the wreckage. "We got survivors down there, but they won't last long." Ray's hands tightened over the controls. "Then let's get to work." The Iron Fang descended into the war zone, dodging plasma fire from pirate ships. Ray grabbed his blaster and sprinted toward the nearest outpost, where a group of civilians were pinned down behind the remains of a collapsed tower. A pirate warlord, a massive four-armed brute, grinned as he raised his electroaxe. Ray raised his gun, knowing he wasn't fast enough. And then, the sky split open. The return of a legend. A golden explosion illuminated the battlefield. A shockwave ripped through the pirate fleet, sending their ships spiraling out of control. The warlord staggered back, his weapon shattering into dust. Ray felt his heartbeat stop. Floating above the battlefield was her. Zura. She descended like a goddess, her eyes burning with celestial fire, her presence warping the air around her. The pirates screamed in terror. Some dropped their weapons and ran. Others collapsed to their knees, as if praying to a force they couldn't comprehend. Ray stepped forward, unable to believe what he was seeing. "Zura." She turned, her glowing eyes softening when they met his. "I told you it wasn't forever," she said, her voice both familiar and different. More powerful, more vast. Ray exhaled, a slow grin spreading across his face. "Took you long enough." She smirked. "You always did need saving." Then, with a flick of her wrist, the remaining pirates vanished, erased as if they had never existed. The battle was over, but something else had begun. A new purpose. Later, after the fires had been put out and the survivors were safe, Ray and Zira stood on a ridge overlooking the ruined city. Ray crossed his arms. "So, you're a god now?" Zira chuckled. "Not exactly. I'm still figuring out what I am." He raised an eyebrow. "And what brought you back?" She looked at him, something deep and unreadable in her gaze. "I heard your wish." Ray frowned. "My wish? I didn't." Zira took a step closer, her light flickering between golden and human. You wished for me to become who I was meant to be. And now, I think I know. Ray waited. Zira smiled. I'm going to change the galaxy. Ray blinked. That's ambitious. She smirked. I had a good teacher. Ray sighed. So what, you're just going to erase all the bad guys and fix everything overnight? Zira shook her head. No, that's not how it works. Power alone doesn't change things. Ray stared at her. Then what does? She reached out, her fingers brushing against his. People like you. Ray's heart skipped a beat. He wasn't sure if it was her touch, her words, or the way the stars reflected in her golden eyes. Voss, watching from the ship, groaned loudly. Bod, just kiss already. Ray rolled his eyes. Shut up, Voss. Zira laughed, really laughed, for the first time since she had become free. And in that moment, Ray knew something had changed. Zira was no longer just a mythical being. She was a force for something greater. And whether he liked it or not, he was going to be right there beside her. Because Zira wasn't just a wish granter anymore. She was a legend in the making. And this was just the beginning.